That's a better word.
She doesn't like aspiring women rep also?
For Kisumu County.
For Kisumu County. Thank you very much. And Beatrice Elachi, Senator Beatrice Elachi, Deputy Whip in the Senate.
Majority Whip in the
Deputy Majority Whip.
Majority Whip in
Majority Whip in the Senate.
Why must you always put deputy in front of women's titles?
Oh, come on, Rosa. I didn't see that coming. Anyway, somebody says women first, but men before. Now, the country went to bed in a very gloomy situation yesterday because of the health situation following the doctor's strike that entered day 3. At least 4 more deaths were reported as at yesterday, as crucial talks between the medical practitioners and the government failed for the 2nd day running. Now, relatives and friends were forced to evacuate critically ill patients abandoned by striking doctors to their homes or to private hospitals. Our senior reporter Sylvia Chibet went around and collected the rather grim situation, as we'll see in this clip.
It's just day 2 of the health workers' strike, and the human cost is becoming unbearable. At the Coast General Hospital, Emma Waithera Cairo's body lies in the ward, long after she breathed her last. Her family believes her death is a direct consequence of the ongoing strike.
Kama angepata matibabu, nafikiri angepona. Ni venye hakuna matibabu.
Citizen TV has independently verified that 2 other patients have died in this coastal hospital during the 48 hours that the health workers have abandoned the facility to demand their dues. But patients and their relatives claim more have died.
Watu wamekufa, kuna kitanda kimoja hicho. No, mimi peke yangu ambaye wasilali hapa kwa sababu sister zangu ndo wanaolala na mada, lakini wale niliona mimi kama 7 hivi wamekufa. Sister zangu ananiambia ni zaidi ya hao.
Confused and anxious, Rashid and his sisters have been forced to transfer their comatose mother home. Throughout the country, patients are leaving hospitals in droves, including at the country's biggest referral facility, Kenyatta National Hospital. It's a desperate situation, with many unable to bear the cost of treatment in private facilities.
Gakani niliambiwa niende nikaambiwa nitoe nusu milioni. Huko tena kutopa sitaweza.
A patient in Kakamega has nowhere to go, and so he spent the night right here beside the hospital gate.
Wamenitupa hapa nje kwa gate na sina mtu wa kunisaidia. Nimeongea na watu wa pikipiki, wanasema sina balance ya kukaa, naweza anguka.
In Makueni, a TB patient has been abandoned with the oxygen tubes straddling his nostrils.
Si hilo ugumu wa kupumua. Nahisi vibaya, lakini kama si hilo ugumu wa kupumua, singekuwa hapa kwa sababu nahitaji tu hii ndio maana niko hapa.
He is all alone in the wards, puzzled not so much by the deafening silence, but what will happen to him. The Ministry of Health reckons that many patients are teetering on the precipice of death as doctors and nurses stay away from hospitals. Talks called to negotiate the fate of the collective bargaining agreement failed to take off after ministry representatives reportedly failed to turn up. The unions skipped meetings convened by the Health Cabinet Secretary and the governors on Sunday and Monday.
Perhaps as the night goes on, as we continue to discuss using all means, and secondly, as the dawn comes, we will be able to meet and be able to work a formula whereby the 2 parties can find their way back to work.
Disputes over the CBA have been diagnosed as the cause of the prevailing strike, but with parties prescribing more hardline stances, remedy seems still a long way away. Sylvia Chibet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Sylvia. Quite a saddening state indeed. The Daily Nation says now hospitals are becoming factories of death and pain. The Standard opts to go the political way. Uhuru Tomam as strike talks stall. Now they say President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto and the country's top political leadership remained silent yesterday as Kenyans continue to suffer over the doctors and nurses strike. Rosa.
First of all, I want to say that like all Kenyans, I'm sure, I sympathize with the situation. I feel sorry about what's happening, but I think about it deeper, And I actually say this is a result of broken promises. I'm sorry to say that this government has a history of breaking promises. And even in personal relationships, when you feel that promises have been broken, your heart hardens. I listened to the top leadership of the Union of the Doctors last night, speaking on TV, and I actually empathized with them, because it is not that they woke up and decided to go on strike. They know that as doctors, they are under oath to protect and to preserve life. And I know that coming to a position that they've come to today is not an easy thing. We know that this, at least according to what they were saying last night, there was an agreement that had been signed 3 years ago.
That was in 2013.
2013. And in that agreement, promises and commitments had been made. The doctors kept their part, but the government is not keeping their part. After that,
are you talking about the national government or the county government?
The agreement was not
devolved.
signed by the county government. The agreement was signed by the government, the national government that was in place then. And after a year ago, they did go back to court when they realized that the commitment that had been made in that CBA doesn't seem to be taking effect. So all this time, there was an opportunity for the government, even through the county government, to actually address the issues that had been agreed on in the CBA. None of that was done. When they did give notice that they're going on strike, and strike notice is always 21 days, that was still ignored. So I think that the doctors have actually patiently and diligently followed the process. And what we see today is a reaction to broken promise. This has happened before, even with the teachers. And this is why the last time when I saw Sosion smiling, I said, I hope that is not a smile that comes before tears. Because the government is in the habit of making huge promises. And when it comes to effecting it, they backtrack. But they're dealing with people. They're dealing with human beings. And what makes it worse for the doctors now is when they see the type of money being looted every day, whether it's in NYS, whether it's in the health sector, whatever it is. So they feel like you cannot tell us there's no money.
And yet all this is happening.
And yet all this is happening. So much money is finding its way in corrupt deals. So it is broken promises and a feeling of, what word should I use? Just you not caring, because you're not telling me there's no money. There is money. It is just that you don't want to look at our issues.
Beatrice, Rosa says this is the effect of broken promises. The common mwananchi is suffering because of broken promises.
No, I don't want to go to the promises. I just want to look at health and ask myself whether, as a country, we did it right to devolve the whole fraternity of health. And I think the best we can do is ask what are the best solutions, because this is not the first time we are seeing this. And for the last 4 years, many Kenyans have gone to the grave, either because of lack of the right diagnosis of your disease, lack of right drugs prescribed to you. If we have a quack who has done, and God is good to Kenya and to Nandi, 21 surgeries and you are not a real doctor, then I know we have many who are still performing in the most rural places, but you can't know, who have opened up their own clinics. So, and remember the children in Busia. There are many other issues, and I think as a political elites, because we are the ones who messed all this completely because of our own politics, our own selfishness, thinking this is the best, devolve it. My wish would be, and I'm hoping the president and the governors and even the senators, because I remember at one point we really pleaded with as women, with senators who are our male colleagues, that let us devolve health in terms of infrastructure, the governors to do this thing.
So this even went the gender way?
Yes, because as women, we are looking at life. If you ask me today, I'm even worried. Our children who are being doctors, for heaven's sake, have a heart. If you want to be a doctor, it is not just the career, the money. There's something, there's a calling in you. That is why there are some sectors we don't touch, because we know sometimes it's a calling.
So do you think these are the effects of devolution?
It's an effect of devolution because we did not think through.
Somebody would ask that whereas devolution, I mean health is devolved,
yes,
the national government still retains quite a chunk of money, almost 60 billion shillings.
The issue is not even now the money. The issue is, even if I give now the governors the money, will they take it to the drugs, or will they decide it's all going on painting the hospital and doing all these things? So we must agree, what are the priorities when you have a hospital?
Why don't you do
Number
it the way
one,
you did with the equipment?
That's what I was
38 billion shillings.
That is what we pleaded with them, that look, let the human resource remain with them, which is the most toughest thing for all governors. Taking care of doctors and nurses and clinical officers, because when you leave it at the national government to deal with the human resource, you have taken care of transfers, that a doctor can leave any place and go to any other hospital. Today, you cannot transfer yourself as a doctor. If your wife is in, I was giving Rosa an example, if you're a doctor and your wife is in Kisumu, a doctor, and I'm in Mombasa, can you imagine I am supposed to initiate a negotiation with any doctor there who will agree so that we swipe? What is all that? What about now when we come to their pensions? So there are many other things. And if you want to make it equal, then you must take care of the whole lot. Because you might find one county is doing this, the other county is doing this, depending on how the governor is able to manage.
Just like you rightfully said, I think we cannot be blaming devolution for everything. The government still has a responsibility, as stipulated in the Constitution, which is the supreme laws of this land,
to provide basic medical health care.
To provide basic medical health and protect its citizens. It is not going to abdicate from that responsibility and that mandate because of devolution. We have seen cases where health has been devolved, but the government has taken it upon itself. For example, the case of the 38 billion equipment. Why did the government see it necessary that they, as a national government, should be the ones procuring without the counties having requested?
But Senator says
just hold on.
They offered to take care of human resource.
Just hold on. Why would the government see it necessary to procure those machines on behalf of the counties, which had actually not asked for those machines, and shove it down their throats and leave them with actually no choice but to take those machines? Why did they think it was necessary to do that? And at that particular time, how come they had the power to be able to do that? They said that they thought that they were giving those machines so that so that people would benefit from quick results, etc. Why then would they abdicate their duty now when they watch Kenyans dying, and it is their responsibility as a government to protect the lives of these people?
Fair enough,
now, Rosa, that is what I call now politics, because...
And we should bring politics in this.
No, not politics.
Kenyans across the political divide are dying.
Wait first,
I'm looking at the...
Okay, let's get to here, Senator.
The equipment. The government took the initiative because you cannot go 47 of you. You negotiate with the same factory to make it easier, to make it more better, and a package where you can also negotiate and have better prices. You put yourselves together, you go to the manufacturing company and negotiate. Ask yourself, Philips, to sign 47 MOUs that we are leasing with this, we are leasing with this. I think that was why it was neater.
Is 47 too many?
I mean, there are too many. In terms of...
Many more than the number of doctors?
No, I'm now talking about... I'm now talking about the equipment first. Why it was necessary for the national government to take that initiative, negotiate with Philips, with the other bigger manufacturing companies in the US, and have only one MOU in terms of the leasing. After that...
I wanted to bring it to the human resource aspect.
Now let's go to the human resource. The human resource, the same way, national government requests, let us deal with human resource. They were told in black and white at State House, health is devolved. And they were told, if you want to return this function back to the national government, then you must go for a referendum.
I see double standards here. If they could request for human resource to be brought back to national government, how come they couldn't request for the facilities?
Now, those are the governors. You know, this is one thing the governors themselves accepted, isn't it? That is why they signed their MOUs with the government. Then the government now takes the initiative and signs with them. The same way, if the national government would, if any county government would wish to come back and say, because, and that is where again we need to ask ourselves as politicians, every county has its own dynamic. What did we do? We blanketly said all counties are equal and they should, and that is why and the Constitution had provided very clearly that every county has a right to negotiate with the national government. Now it is up to the counties and the governors. If I feel indeed I would want the government to manage for me human resource, it's a matter of having an MOU.
Fair enough,
and saying,
fair enough.
Deal with my doctor.
This is quite an emotive issue. Regardless of the political inclination of anybody, Kenyans have a right
and we must look
to good medical
for a solution on this.
Just a quick one before we move on.
Just a quick one. You know, Beatrice, you're just making my point stronger, because the government decided to make those equipments priority to all the 47 counties.
Yes.
It is the government that decided that these equipments become a priority. So ordered for those equipments, and the county
never ordered just before you sign the MOU and agree with that county.
Yes. And that's what we are saying, the counties were twisted to signing the MOU.
Some have not signed.
And most of them signed to get whether it was priority for them or not. Remember, each county has its own priorities in terms of health. Why isn't this same government seeing the loss of lives of Kenyans as a priority and doing exactly what they did with those equipments to ensure that the CBA agreement, if it has to be effected by the county government, is effected so that people don't have to die?
And that's why I repeat, Rosa,
is it because there was more money that the government or somebody was going to make out of that order?
Good question, but at the end of it all, ladies, Beatrice, we need to move on.
I wish the governors, and I repeat, if you feel you can have an MOU with the national government to deal for you payments so that your doctors and nurses and clinical officers do not go on strike, kindly do it. The law allows you, and you can, all of them can do the same, and we will never see these strikes again. Now we will be dealing with whether we have quality of drugs and quality of treatment to Kenya.
Fair enough. Rosa, we need to bring this. We need to bring this issue to a close.
But
it's quite an emotive issue.
Okay,
Beatrice, Senator, that's enough. It's quite an emotive issue, as you can see here.
Yes.
It's involving the lives of poor Kenyans, middle-class Kenyans, and even the affluent Kenyans, because somebody said, even if you can get an airlift, you never know when an illness will strike. But I want us to move on very quickly because time is not on our side, and I want us to look at the political happenings yesterday. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto were in Ukambani area, where they launched several development projects, including tarmacking of roads and opening up of access roads. On the other side, Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga and Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi were in Laikipia, and today Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga is supposed to be in Tharaka Nithi. Ladies, the much anticipated National Super Alliance will become a reality in February next year. That is the declaration that was made in Laikipia. We start from there, Beatrice.
That was very good, and I appreciate that now we are able to see you can go freely anywhere, first of all, and campaign peacefully. For me, I just want to tell the politicians, as we do all this, just remember, let us have a peaceful election. It's a competition. It is not a fight between ourselves as brothers and sisters. It's a competition. Whoever wins, wins. It is God who knows who wins in all the circumstances. But the most important thing also, I would want to tell the young people, when you receive the leaders, receive them. There is no need of bringing any fights between yourselves, because you can see the leaders are together and they are campaigning together. So the same with also those who are their supporters. It is important to understand.
What would you say about the president's reception in Ukambani, especially Kitui?
It was fantastic.
Fantastic?
Fantastic. I was there. It was fantastic, and I want to thank the people of Kitui, Mutomo. They were very welcoming, they were open, I know right now politicians are facing different challenges. So I know the senator had a bit of challenge, but not because of anything else, because now he's going for governorship, and you know you have also an incumbent in, so they will be bringing all that. But the good thing with the people of Kitui, they respected that this is politics and everyone has a right to talk to them.
Let's hear from Rosa, but I'll come back to you and have your take on the formation of the National Super Alliance in February. Rosa.
For me, I'm having a problem sort of drawing a line between development from the government and campaigns, political campaigns, because what I saw yesterday was a government using the country's resources or goodies to lure its own people to support it. Because
was it conditionalized?
The narrative was so clear. I listened to the deputy president pleading with the people of Eastern and telling them, we want you to be in government, we want you to form government with us next year. We had a small problem in 2013, but now we want you, and then you see all these big whatever's for the road and I'm like, what you're trying to do is to lure these people with the goodies.
Which is why you're luring.
So exactly the same thing happened in Malindi, you know. So it puts people, it just puts people in a difficult position in drawing a line between, is this development? You've been here for 4 years, we haven't seen this, election is coming next year, now all of a sudden the huge machines are here creating roads for us, doing what for us, and then you asking us to work with you next year. I don't know, I see it as immoral. I see it as a government duping its people, that be with us, because if you are with us, you're going to see more of this.
Which is
if
that line
Eastern does
thin?
not vote with the government, even those roads that were being commissioned yesterday will not.
Are you done, Rosa?
Will not be completed. We've seen cases where machines have been removed after by-elections.
Like where?
When the government has
like where?
Here. Bitches continue.
Rosa,
is the line
have
too
you finished
thin?
lying to Kenyans? Because you've just lied.
I'm just saying the truth.
Because if it was the former Prime Minister, what will he be doing?
Who is president?
Yeah. What will he be doing?
We're talking about the government. He's a former Prime Minister.
Today, what does he do with the county governments? They're also governments. What does he normally do?
But is he a governor?
Is he a president?
No, don't go that route.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no,
asking,
no, no,
because you have said we were luring. Let me ask you, we are in a presidential system, for heaven's sake.
Yes.
And the president remains a president.
In a presidential system, as I look at America today, you know, I always ask Kenyans, are you now seeing your constitution, how Trump is helping you to understand better how it works? That when I come in with my people, you move, I do this.
There.
But in Kenya, we want to do sort of a hypocrisy. What else was the president supposed to do? Tell them, now I've brought the road, I am president. Excuse me, the president is supposed to tell them, I am president, and I am coming back in 2017 as president.
Join me.
Join me.
To tell them 4 years later, when people have died of starvation with no roads, so when elections is 8 months away, now I've come with the machines, and then you tell me it's because you are a president.
Do you know that road, since independence, you know, I was even shocked. I asked myself, my brother Kalonzo has been there for 30 years. How can a road be in your policy from 1968, when some of us were 1968, the road was said it's supposed to be done. You come again 19, I don't know what, up to date, really, even if it is not for
so you're
politics.
saying
even if it is not for politics.
So you're saying the issue of that road was there before Kalonzo?
Was there before?
Before
He's
Kalonzo.
been there for 30 years. He has left it.
Kalonzo
So
has
thank
been
you.
there as an MP.
Thanks for Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. At least now he has.
Rosa's question is, why
Right.
8 months before an
And
election?
you guys, let's get this
The
clear.
problem is not
Kalonzo,
8
just hold
years
on.
or 1 year or 1 day.
Excuse me.
Yes, to Kambani,
Kalonzo
it
has
was
been
a road
there.
has come.
Rosa.
The role of an MP is not to build roads.
And that's the misconception that
if
Kenyans have
you're saying
always
that
had.
Kalonzo was there as an MP.
Which
Did he
is
have the
shocked.
power to build roads?
Rosa,
So you don't compare an MP to a president and say Kalonzo as an MP never built roads and President Uhuru has come to build roads. Of course, he's the president.
Rosa. Bitches is shocked. The role of an MP is not to build roads. Are you shocked?
Do you remember their days? There are days when there were the super politicians in this country, and more importantly, a minister.
So is it the role of an MP to build roads?
Well, but that's how they inculcated a culture to Kenyans to understand they are the one. That's why when you go, they ask you, wapi barabara? Why is it that Kenyans ask for all those things? It is us who inculcated that culture. Nobody cheated. Nobody cheated.
So Beatrice, I'll ask you again.
Politicians decided to show Kenyans they have the power to do anything and everything in this country.
So it's not
the
business. It's not the business of an MP to build roads.
It's not a business.
So how
but
do
at
you
the same
compare
time,
an MP to a president?
in reality, and that is why they fought. They had CDF. That is why they fought. They want to retain most of the resources within them. Why? Because we inculcated a culture to Kenyans that we can do all welfare. Until we change that culture so that a Kenyan can understand a legislator is there to bring you policies that another person can implement for you to get services.
The campaign mood goes on. Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga and Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi were in Laikipia, and Mheshimiwa Raila said the much anticipated National Super Alliance, he didn't call it by name, but he says, watch this space, February next year. Your take?
Yeah, like I've said here before, nobody can control or direct a party, a political party's agenda. For example, Jubilee has all the time, when they forced parties to dissolve and come up with one Jubilee party, they panicked, and immediately they went to for the throats of CORD and said, CORD, you also do the same, tell us who your presidential candidate. And I said, you cannot control that agenda. A political party decides when they are going to name their candidate. A political party decides on its own agenda. So what we are seeing now is just the agenda of the opposition. And to show you, unlike what Jubilee kept on saying, that opposition was confused, opposition was in disarray, they didn't know whether they're coming or going, and I told them, watch this space.
So what are we likely to see moving forward?
Watch this space. Why do you want to see something before your eyes? Watch this space. In short, the opposition are tightly in control of its agenda, and in February, you will see what that agenda is.
Rosa, the opposition are tightening control of their agenda.
All I want to tell Rosa, and she's a woman, when you see them telling you February, you must be asking, any woman in CORD should be asking herself now, how are things going to twist in all the political agendas?
I like the way you bring the gender issue.
Yes, because
for me, I get
in
coalition,
let her get worked up, continue. But in any coalition, and that's why I am happy Jubilee finished theirs earlier, because now as women, you are able to space yourself and take your space. For Rosa, as she tells me that, we have women who would have wished to be senators in CORD. The moment you see this happening, just know those are some of the slots now that they will bargain their power with. So a woman, you're just left hanging. Now you're told go for woman reps. Did you go for
Why are you worked up?
You don't need to get worked up. You need to be asking yourself this strategy. How do I ensure as women we still manage to get a big cake?
I would love to know why you're worked up.
I get worked up because I'm sitting around this table not as a woman, but as a leader.
Me, I'm a woman in politics.
I sit at this table as a leader, and a leader who's a woman. But first and foremost, I'm discussing these issues as a leader and not as a woman. When the CORD coalition will unveil its strategy or its agenda in February, it is not close to any woman who wishes to be anything. Because as it is, for example, in ODM, one of the major parties in the coalition that's going to be formed in February next year, we've already opened space to anybody, whether you're a woman or a man, for any position, to come and pay your nomination fee and declare commitment that you'd like to run for that particular seat. So there is no way that women are disadvantaged in that area. And what is going to happen next year, February, will not undo and disqualify any woman who had already applied for a particular position just to suit a man.
Beatrice, you realize this is a new new game for
I want to thank you and Citizen. You know why?
Wind up
in
so
February, we will be here. I want to thank you. I want Rosa to keep this date today to date.
I'll be smiling in February, Beatrice.
Good. Here.
And I want you to smile even more, viewers,
Here.
because up next we are going to have some entertainment from, I guess that's Mr. Muyela or somebody, together with the boys band, and thereafter we'll be having Cheche. Thank you so much to my panelists, Deputy Organizing Secretary ODM, I got it right, yeah, Rosa Buyu.
You forgot the word
and
national.
Deputy National Organizing Secretary ODM, Rosa Buyu, aspiring woman representative Kisumu County, and the Senator Beatrice Elachi, Majority Whip.
Thank you
in
so
the
much.
Senate.